All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I haven't exactly came up with a title for this, something along the lines of wanting to be a leader, but what I'm going to get into is like the infamous shot caller term, right? Everybody's obsessed with, well, not everybody. Let me restate that. A lot of people are obsessed with prison and, with Wes Watson getting busted recently and the alleged him being the self-appointed leader of the woodpile. Figured I would do something on shot callers. We'll use that term just because that's the mainstream media term that people know. But basically, having the keys to your people, being a leader, whatever you want to call it. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Also, share the video, really helps to get the message out, and hit that notification bell so that anytime I go live or I drop a new video, you will be informed and you can jump on the live and be a part of that or check out the video when you're ready. Okay, so in uh, my time of being incarcerated, whether it be county jail, prison, whatever, there were a couple occasions where I was the alleged shot caller. And I kind of laugh at that because I think if you've never done time, the public has this image of this big tattooed uh, killer, basically, for lack of a better term. Like that's the Hollywood version of the shot caller, right? And there's this fascination with that, like, oh, what a tough guy, uh, and I'm not saying that if you have the keys for your people, whether it be in a dorm, whether it be on a yard, wherever it may be, I'm not saying that you're not tough necessarily. Um, the thing about being in that position is, this thing between your ears needs to work because you're going to be having a lot of conversations with other races. Uh, if you're a shot caller, whether it be in the county or prison, basically, look at it this way: you're a diplomat for the white population in the particular facility that you're in the dorm, you know, on the yard, in the cell block, wherever it may be, right? So it's not all such a glamorous thing like Hollywood makes it out to be, and like maybe some of your homeboys might make it out to be. Some of my homeboys did, you know. They make it seem like you're just untouchable and you're some superstar or something when you have the keys, when you're the shot caller, right? Um, I was in San Bernardino County Jail. This was probably somewhere around 2002. And I've told this story before where, like, I landed in this dorm and, like, there was no politics at all. And I feel when you're doing time, politics are very important because it keeps people safe. Okay. There are certain things that you don't do. If you know, you know. There are certain rules as far as dealing with other races, and there's certain protocols where if somebody from your group is getting jumped, then you better get your ass out there and assist them. Um, Things like this. So I landed in this dorm, and there were no politics at all. Like I had just come from LA County Jail, and LA County Jail is super political. Like it's the closest thing to prison you're gonna find, in my opinion, in a county jail. There are some places that are hardcore, if you will, in the county jails, depending on where you land. Like it's about who's around you, but anyways, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that. So I had come from LA County Jail. Now I'm out here, and there was this guy. He was fighting a hot one, and he had the keys, and he had given up on life pretty much. It seemed like he didn't care about nothing. He didn't want to deal with nothing. He wasn't going to impose any rules or regulations. Like I rolled up, and typically when you roll up to a new location, somebody from your race is going to greet you. It may be a couple of guys from your race. So a couple of Woods normally are going to roll up, and they're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to give me a little tour of the dorm, which this is what this was. This was dorm living. And they're going to point out, okay, these are our phones. These are our tables. Specific rules like, okay, we don't cut between the tables with other races. You got to walk around type of thing. The first two phones are ours. The next two phones are the blacks. The toilets, even the toilets, like everything is broken up in there. And I rolled into this dorm, and I did not get the tour. Nobody approached. I had to seek out the white guys to introduce myself and figure out what was what. And, it was different. Okay. So basically what happened, the way I ended up with the keys in this place, I wasn't there looking for the keys. I didn't have much time to do. I was going to be back out on the streets within a couple of months. So I wasn't looking to make waves or anything in this place, but some of the Woods and even other races were clowning this one Wood because he had gotten jumped by a couple of Southsiders over a bag for a spread. And I guess in the process, dude yelled for the deputy. And these guys were clowning this guy. They would say, "Deputy!" And so I asked somebody, I said, "Hey, what's up with that?" And, they explained the story to me. There were several of them there, and they were laughing. They thought it was funny. And I looked at them dead in their face, and I said, "And what did you do? One of your people was getting jumped. One of us was getting jumped. And all you want to do is make jokes about it?" So I went and I confronted our shot caller, right? Our leader, the guy that had the keys. And he, like I said, he didn't care. He was checked out mentally. So I basically told him, and I've told this story before. You can go back and look through the videos. I don't remember what that video is called. I think it's called I got rolled up. Something. I got rolled up in San Bernardino County. I think it is. But so I went over to him and I told him, I said, "Look, if you're not going to take care of business, then I got the dorm from here on." And dude didn't seem to care. So I called a Wood meeting. I let him know, "Hey, look, this is the deal. This is the way we're going to be doing things moving forward. And because I'm not here for that long, I'll get somebody ready to take over when I leave." And within a day or two, somebody dropped a kite because they didn't like politics. And they said that I was in there making trouble, and the deputies came, rolled me up, and put me in the hole. And then I ended up in, because I had too much influence, they said. Now, to be clear, I'm not affiliated with anything in the penal system. I hadn't even been to the penal system at this point, but I understood what politics were and the reasoning behind them. And these guys obviously didn't want to participate in politics. Now, I'm not saying all of them didn't want to. Some of them seemed to be with it, but it was a weenie dorm, basically. And, that's just what it is. So that's one of the side effects of being the shot caller, right? There's potential that people will drop kites on you. I've seen it where in another LA County jail story, there was an NLR guy in our building, and that one's called LA County Jail Riot. There's a part 1 and part 2 to that one, so you can go check those out. And when we kicked it off with the Paisas, basically that NLR guy was a big target, and having the keys will do that sometimes. So you want to be a shot caller, but I'll tell you this, when tension arises and stuff goes down, you're the first one they're coming for. You know, so you're also putting a target on your back by wanting to be that guy, right? So, fast forward, I'm in North Kern State Prison, Delano reception. And we had a really good shot caller, in my opinion, that we called Level 4 Larry. I forget where he was from, but he was an OG who had been around, had the tats, had the kind of laid back attitude, like, if it's a problem, then go stab him and we'll deal with it, type of stuff. So that was a big eye opener for me. Well, when he left, uh, he didn't leave the keys to, well, the one he wanted to leave the keys to didn't want them. So, Larry basically said, well, you guys figure it out. I'm transpacking in the morning. And we had a woodpile meeting to figure out who the keys were going to be forced upon, basically, because nobody wanted it. And, it was my first term. I didn't feel that I deserved to be in that position. And I didn't really understand, to be honest with you, how serious having those keys can be. And when I say having the keys, I don't mean you have like a key ring that you wear on your belt to the doors or something like that. Like, it comes from the terminology comes from basically we're all in the same car. Who's driving? Who's got the keys? So shot caller, keys, kind of thing. I hope that clears some things up. But basically, so in that meeting, we came to the conclusion they were trying to push them on me. I'm like, nope, it's not going to happen. Like, I'll help out, I'll assist wherever I can, but I'm not ready for that. And somebody else, and I can't remember his name, I can picture him, but he said, I'll take the keys, but you have to be the communicator with the other races. So, like, I was the front man in essence. That if there was an issue with another race, either I would go to them and talk to their leadership, or if there was an issue with us, one of them would come and talk to me, and then I would find a way to decipher that information to who needed it. So in doing this, and I talked about this on the live the other night, there was a situation where ultimately there was an OG, old man pops type of wood, probably about 70. And when we would eat, we would come to these tables in the middle of the building, and they would put Kool-Aid packets out. And then you'd have water in a pitcher that you'd pour in your cup, and then you'd put the Kool-Aid packet in there, and you'd drink that with your meal. Well, a couple young Southsiders decided they were going to take the OG's Kool-Aid packets, and that became the first issue that I was involved with, being in a position such as that. Like, I wasn't anybody still. I never was anybody, to be honest with you. But so the situation was brought to me, and I went and talked to our guy, and he kind of ran it down to me. Okay, you got to go get with the Southsider rep, and this is kind of how you handle it. And okay, cool. Excuse me. So I go to see the Southsider rep, and the Southsider rep was somebody amongst his people. And I mean, beyond having the keys to that dorm, he was one of those guys that probably had keys to the whole prison. But I'm not going to get into that on this one. So I go to see him. He's sitting at one of the picnic table style benches in the day room, and I didn't recognize what it was, but basically he had like a security detail. So he's sitting at the table. No one else is sitting at the table, but he's got like torpedo type guys setting a perimeter, so that if anybody comes to talk to him, they're going to stop you and make sure that you're good to go talk to him. So I go to walk in there, and have a seat and start a conversation. And one of the youngsters like, "Yo, hold on a minute, Wood. What are you doing?" And the guy with the Southsiders, he was a younger guy, but you could tell he had been around, like probably late 20s, all blasted up, had his Vadio across the back of his head, and a bunch of ink. And he said, "Now, come on in, have a seat." He said, "That's the Wood rep," because that's what was being put out there. The other guy didn't want heat, or he didn't want to communicate with other people. He wasn't a good communicator like that, but he understood prison politics. So, uh, so I sit down having a conversation. I tell him, "Hey, this is what the situation was, and a couple of the, your younger homies took dude's Kool-Aid. How can we rectify the situation?" And dude was cool, very super respectful. We didn't have big numbers in that dorm. Like, if it would have kicked off, we probably would have got smashed. But at the same time, you have to demand your respect. And I'm not saying I came in there demanding anything, but that's where you have to be the diplomat and use your words, right? So I, brought it to his attention. He said, "Okay, which ones were they?" So I let him know who they were, and he said, "Hey, which bunk is Pops on, so I can make sure he gets his Kool-Aid back?" So I told him what bunk number he was on, and within about 10 minutes, there was about 10 Kool-Aid packets on Pop's bed, which I thought was super cool, very respectful. And the Southsider, Yavero, told me, he said, "Hey, and Bobby, tell your people to stay away from that rear restroom upstairs for a little bit. We have some business we need to take care of." And I said, "Okay, I appreciate you." Like, we shook hands, and I went back over, let my people know what was going on to make sure they keep away from that restroom. And those two youngsters that did that got wrecked. Like, they sent people in there on them, and they got I don't want to say they got hurt, but they got beat up pretty good over just being young and over a bad situation. Basically, they shouldn't have done it. And that's prison for you, though. And the thing is, you can it's cool to be a shot caller. Be a shot caller for your family. Like, there's no glamour in running a yard with a bunch of men on it. That Southsider guy that was somebody, we were sitting upstairs one time. Me and him got to be pretty cool, and we're looking down over the day room, and he says, "Bobby," he had got a letter from his daughter, who was like early in her teens, and she said some stuff, basically like cussed him out in a letter or whatever. I don't know the exact details, but he told me, he said, "What's crazy?" He said, "We could have 200 men fighting just based on our word. We could go back to our people right now and say we're going to kick it off, and that's what's going to happen. But at the same time, we can't control our children who are out there in the free world." He said, "I can't control a 14-year-old girl, but I can control 200 grown men." And that really blew my mind, and that really stuck with me, because it's the decisions that we make. Do you want to be the shot caller for your family and take care of business out here, or do you want to strive to be somebody in prison? But the choice is yours ultimately. But if you're using illegal drugs, ultimately that's where you're going to end up. And if that's your aspirations in life, to be a shot caller in prison, then nothing I can say is going to change your mind. But there's much more to life. I'm telling you, there's plenty of people in there behind them walls that would change with you in a heartbeat, that don't have a date, that are never going to get out because they wanted to be gangsters. They were using drugs and doing things like that, and committing crimes, and they committed the ultimate crime, and now they have life. So, like I said, the choice is yours. Like, what do you want the keys to? Is the ultimate question. I want the keys to my old ass Toyota in my lovely small home in the high desert, because that's my little piece of the pie. And I want to be the shot caller for my family, and I want to show my grandkids what a good man looks like. And I'm sure a lot of you do too, or what a good woman looks like. So that's my story for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, drop a comment and let me know, what do you want the keys to? Because ultimately it's your decision, right? But choose wisely. So also hit that notification bell and share the video. It helps to grow the channel, and ultimately this channel is about recovery. So if you're new to sobriety, welcome. I believe in you. Family, fitness, and freedoms are the things that help deliver me from active addiction and brought me into the promised land. But seriously, like that's what helped me, along with the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, and doing an in-house rehab program. That's what worked for me. It don't work for everybody, but it worked for me. You have to be ready, ultimately, because if you're not ready, nobody can tell you nothing. And we all know that to be true, right? Like, if the people you love can't talk you into doing it, nothing I say is going to change that. But when you're ready, we'll be here. And it's life gets a lot better. It isn't perfect when you find sobriety, but it gets a lot better. So I hope everybody's having a great week. And don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.